There's a parallel that caught me completely off guard. A connection between two worlds that most people think couldn't be more different. Ultra-endurance sports at the highest level and executive leadership. The truth is, I have what it takes for both, but that's not how I always saw myself. I was raised by parents who were endlessly encouraging. They constantly spoke belief into me. But even with all that love, I still grew up with quiet doubts. Questions like, am I really enough? Do I actually have what it takes to do something extraordinary? When I was 14, I saw the Ironman World Championships on TV. I remember sitting there, watching in awe. And then suddenly, I was crying. Why? Because something inside me recognized a massive potential. What if I had what it took to do this epic thing? And what if I never found out? That was the part that got to me. I was living small, safe, only doing things I knew I could, never stretching, never discovering my limits or what existed beyond them. Executive leadership is exactly the same way. That's why it called to me. These things, these bold, intimidating paths, they don't show up by accident. They beckon to us because they're likely to unlock who we're meant to be, using our gifts, making a profound difference with our lives. Both leadership and ultra-endurance stretch you. They push you into discomfort. They expose your mental patterns, and they require you to adapt fast. You have to stay present. You have to build resilience. You have to show up at a high level again and again. I remember when I first read about Ultraman. It's a 3-day, 320-mile triathlon. My reaction was, what? How do you even train for that? But I couldn't stop thinking about it. It lit something up in me. It became a puzzle I had to figure out. That's when my ultra coach stepped in. And here's what blew my mind. He said, it's not 3 times the training. It's how you train that enables the growth. That was my first big aha. You're not just training your body. You're training your mind. You're building a whole new operating system, one that fuels you differently, recovers smarter, and stays strong for longer. I'll never forget the first time I trained for a 10K swim, the same distance as in the Ultraman. Up to that point, the longest I ever swam was 2.4 miles for the Ironman. I kept asking, how do I even do this? And my coach kept saying, it's in the training. So week by week, I built. Not too fast, just 10 to 15% more with recovery built in. Each peak week pushing further than the last. But here's what most people miss. It's not just physical. You have to train your mind just as much. I had to track my performance, not just the data, but also my mindset. What was I feeling before a workout? What were the beliefs running under the surface? Was I telling myself I could do this or secretly doubting? I had to get crystal clear on my motivation. Why was I doing this? And for me, it was simple, to find out what I was made of. Executives go through the same exact thing. What does the data say about your leadership? How do people experience you? What do they say after you leave the room? What is your why for leading? If it's surface level, like power, prestige, a huge paycheck, you won't become the leader you are capable of being. But if it's heart-centered, to help others rise, to make a meaningful impact, to bring your full potential to every moment of this precious life, now that's a motivation that fuels greatness. All journeys to the highest level demand transformation. They demand that you face your limits and then break them over and over again. What I learned in sport mapped perfectly to leadership, and that connection inspired me to pioneer a method that helps leaders reach their own version of peak performance. Just like elite athletes, training for Ironman and Ultraman pushed me to my edge, physically and mentally. And that's where I discovered the real game changer, the power of our repetitive thoughts. Discovering and transforming these helped me break through limits I didn't even know I had. And when I applied that to leadership, everything changed. Because our mind holds the key to high performance, not just in sports, but in the boardroom. And I've been helping leaders unlock it ever since.